welcome to episode 9 of Pickle Juice. It's your boy Zook. But before I get into my rant, some super cool news. I am not the only one that is hosting this show tonight. I'm lucky enough to be joined by my good friend Danea. Danea, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good.
We've been talking about doing this for a while. We really kind of played around with it till the final moment, right? We cut it close to the wire when it came to your connection and stuff, but I'm very happy that we get to do this. No one gets to see how we were a little crazy behind the scenes 10 minutes ago. Now, cool, composed, and ready to talk some pickleball.
Oh man, I'm freaking stoked, man.
I'm excited. We'll get more into your story and like who you are, I'm sure, just through like general conversation. But just to do it justice, take a good like 30 seconds to a minute. Tell people about who you are, what you're doing, and why pickleball is so special to you.
I mean, honestly, it's really simple. I just love pickleball. I tell people I'm a content creator in the space, but more than anything, I'm just a pickleball enthusiast. I've been playing for 3 years, totally obsessed, totally addicted. I mean, I just love it.
And it's easy to talk about something you love, right? There's no work, there's no like struggle. This conversation will just flow right off the tongue, and that's the thing that you're starting to realize with all the conversations that I have with people in the space. Everyone just freaking loves pickleball for pickleball. There's no ulterior motive. There's
No.
no, other things that people are thinking about. It's just a game that everyone can play and everyone loves. And me and you, hopefully we continue to have this honor of getting to have on some special guests to continue on with great conversations, right?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked about who we have tonight.
Yeah, behind the scenes we have a super special guest tonight. We've been attacking this game from the pro side, but with a co-host, we decided to step it up a little bit and kind of go up the ladder when it comes to the pay grade. And what I mean by that is we're bringing to you Mr. President, the president of Major League Pickleball, Brooks Wiley. Mr. President, how you doing tonight?
I'm well. How are y'all?
Good, good. And as we were saying before you popped up, have had the time of our lives talking to pros. Very, very excited now um, to talk to someone who has a different perspective on the game, unique perspective, potentially a one of a kind perspective to where pickleball sits right now. Is that too much pressure?
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Okay. So I guess off the top, we'll do the normal housekeeping questions before we can dive deep and get the hard hitting stuff. But I'll just start you with this. How does one, and you could start wherever you want with this, how does one end with being the president of Major League Pickleball?
Yeah, it's been an evolution, I guess is the best way to describe it. Definitely not something that I sought out. I was playing in a home poker game about 5 years ago. And also I want to shout out just for Knights of Degen. I'm a fellow Degen, professional gambler.
Let's go.
Love crypto and love the fan control football, everything y'all are doing. So I want to start there.
Awesome.
All that.
Thank you. We didn't even ask him to do that. If you're watching this, we didn't even ask him to do that. No, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So my journey starts as me playing poker, being a Degen with my friends, and learned about pickleball in. It was actually the business part of pickleball where I learned about it. I learned about where there was this guy in Austin who was thinking about opening up like a chicken and pickle type place in Austin, and I'd never heard of pickleball before, but had played tons of racket sports, and I just sold a business at the time and was trying to decide what I wanted to do. Have been an entrepreneur in my entire life, and something about it intrigued me. Started looking it up, and I thought this would be a cool thing to bring to Austin. And then also had not been playing any sports recently, and looked it up, looked super fun, and went and bought a paddle and started playing it at my rec center here in Cedar Park, Texas, and was instantly, because I wasn't working at the time, playing like 5 days a week. Like every day that I could play, I was there playing. And just, even to the point where I had a real estate agent trying to look at land and seeing if it was viable, and started sourcing balls from China, within a couple months. So that's, it always started kind of with the entrepreneurship angle. And then just through the local Austin pickleball community, started meeting friends, ended up meeting Steve Kuhn, who's the founder of both Duper and Major League Pickleball. We became friends. I helped them in, I think, like October of 2020, before Dreamland was open. We did a World Pickleball Day event at Dreamland, like a private event, which had Irina Terashenko and Ben Johns and Kyle Yates and Johnny Pickleball and all these pros. And we did an event there over to celebrate World Pickleball Day it was like October 10th, I think, of 2020. Helped them do that. Helped Steve open Dreamland, which is the venue where we hold Major League Pickleball, where there's 16 courts outside of Austin, where Deckel Bar and Vivian David, DJ Young, all live there. Ton of other local pros, Brandon, Insect Pong, and Stefan. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody off the top of my head. They all live and train there often. So I helped Steve get Dreamland, the facility, off the ground, which is a pickleball and mini golf and live music and art. I think Danea said she just was there a couple weeks ago. It's crazy. You can't. It's like this Willy Wonka chocolate factory of pickleball and art and music. Just I helped Steve get that facility off the ground, and then in last year he came to me and said, "Hey, let's start Duper. We want to have this, the rating system that existed at the time was just not super accurate." He said, we want to start this company. So we launched that in January of last year, built the app, started to get some of the pros that we have sponsored, signed some of the pro athletes, started to sign strategic agreements with some of the tours. And then in the summer of last year, and this is kind of Steve's MO, is let's try something else. It's not enough to go ahead and start a ratings program. Let's try and get this team Major League Pickleball concept on the ground. So he came to me and said, let's launch that. So we launched that in the fall of last year. And then come to, the end of the year, we had somebody else who was ready to take over at Duper. Jill Braverman was ready to take over. So I transitioned into just doing Major League Pickleball full time. So that is the short, long evolution of my pickleball journey.
So wait, can I ask you a question? When did you actually start playing pickleball? Like, what year was that?
I would say, so this is 22. Let me see if I can count that. I want to say like late 17.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm someone who, I started playing pickleball in 2002. Like, like people look at me, like when I tell people that, they're like, I go back to this day camp where I grew up, and every summer from like the ages of like 8 to 13, we played pickleball there. I would go back to school, and people would be like, "What the hell are you doing? Taking a ping pong paddle and hitting these wiffle balls with it?" Like, no one understood the game. So then every year I'd go back to school for those 4 or 5 years, not play it the entire school year, go back over the summer, play it at camp, be obsessed with it. It was like the sport at this camp. It wasn't just like a random sport. It was like the main sport there. So we were always playing it. Fast forward it, I grow up, I go to high school, I go to college. People are playing it here or there, and when I see it, I recognize it before anyone else, but there wasn't that craze. But then we're talking about the years now. It gets to 17, it gets to 18, it gets to 19. It was so easy for me to flip the switch because that isn't when I was first introduced to it. That was more like, hey, I was taking a break, but so much so like riding a bike, because I played it a lot when I was younger, not just here or there, like all summer long, 4 or 5 summers in a row. So I'm 28. I'm 2002. Brooks, you said you're 2017. Danea, where do you fall?
So funny enough, the first time I was introduced to pickleball was when I was in middle school. Okay. Except they taught it as just a singles game. So I didn't even know doubles was like a thing. And so
Oh, wow.
we grew up doing it in like high school, middle school and high school PE class. And, you know, I never did it again really. And then my college actually had they like advertised for a pickleball tournament, like super random. And I saw it and I was like, I'm doing that. Like I remember. And dude, I did it and I freaking won. And I was like, this is the best thing ever.
You know what? As much as everyone says we all love pickleball, all of our stories kind of start the same with us winning, like our first matches or our first experience. I wonder, there's really no stories about people, you know, starting with a loss, and I'm wondering if like that one thing there is deciding whether or not people are sticking. You bring up a good point, Danea, because you know you can't separate this from tennis like as much as you want to, and I'm someone so much so who I look at them as two different sports, but you know it's similar to tennis, and there is doubles and there is singles, and in tennis we all kind of understand singles is the main game, but I kind of think that where pickleball is going and the way that people play it, doubles is actually the default method. Like if there was only going to be one method played in a major tournament, Brooks, I know with MLP the great thing is like with the shuffle you get like legit every single thing that you would want. Like we don't have to worry about that question, but you do have, you know, you are Mr. President, so you do have the mind of thinking how the game works. Do you see this as a doubles game?
That's a good question, and I think there might be. I know at the amateur level, I'm pretty sure it will stay as the doubles game. It's just, you know, it's too difficult. Playing singles pickleball is hard. It's a good workout, and it's an insane workout. So I think, and part of what draws people to pickleball is the community and the social aspect of it. So I think at the amateur level, doubles will be the default for forever. At the singles, I mean, at the professional level, I think there's a fairly significant chance where singles becomes the default. Like if pickleball starts to become the TV sport in the future, it's possible that singles becomes what becomes the default, that it's on TV.
And do we draw a line between the crossover that some pros are coming from tennis, and when they come from tennis, they're coming with a singles background, or is there another reason to that?
No, that's a huge part of it for sure. It just translates. I think it translates to better athletes, and it's faster, more dynamic on TV, and crazier shots. And I mean, if you look at the success of the U.S. Open on TV and the tennis over the last month, a lot of that stems from just how incredible athletes they are. And I think that can still translate to pickleball, but I think it easier translates, and especially to the outer audience, the people that don't necessarily play it, that singles may be more important. But I think of all the people that play it, doubles will always be the highest participation is, and it will always have a place in the hearts of the hardcore people. Will be doubles.
I always say there's nothing more humbling than singles pickleball. Sometimes I have a partner who's much better than me, and sometimes when my mind and my ego gets too big and I maybe run my mouth and say that I'm the reason that we're winning, my partner will say, okay, we're done with doubles, let's play singles. And I've never gotten more than 2 points off him in my life this entire summer, and we played a bunch of times. 11-2, 11-1, 11-0, like clockwork. But yeah, it's just the differences are like so astounding that I almost do you think one's gonna win out? Do you think the shuffle method will always have a place? What do you think eventually is gonna be the status quo for where it goes? Will the double, and what I mean by that is the doubles game gonna correlate to kind of how we think about where the doubles game is in tennis is in the future for what you just hypothesized?
I think that's a pretty good chance. I would maybe put it like 75-25 that's the final outcome in terms of participation, or on like what becomes the broadcast or the TV product.
So you've had a hand in kind of making Austin and what the MLP as well. I know a lot of people think Austin is sort of the capital of pickleball here in America. Um, Danea, you said you were just there playing a little pickleball. I've never been to Dreamland. Can you kind
Okay.
of describe, because when Brooks walks in, he's collecting the paycheck, he's got to wear the suit, the tie, he's got to talk about it a certain way. He did say it was kind of like a Willy Wonka chocolate factory,
Yeah.
so I kind of understood it from that side. For you, someone who more than likely is like me, and the average time you're playing pickleball, you're probably going to your local court and having a ton of fun, but it is just that local court. What was that experience of going to what they've built down there?
It was really cool. Like, so, I mean, for me, being as involved in pickleball as I am, like, it's always been a dream to go to Dreamland because I've seen the MLP events, I've seen the venue on different streams, and I mean, it's like I was just so excited to go there. And to be honest, it absolutely lived up to the hype. It was so cool, and you said it really well. It felt like this Willy Wonka kind of candy land, like weird. It was just, I loved it, and it's cool because I feel like pickleball itself is just like this really unique, kind of quirky community, and it just like I walked in there and I was like, I'm home. Like this is the vibe that I like. And so it was really cool. Like the social aspect is there. It's very different than chicken and pickle, and in a really cool way, to be honest. Because I've been to a couple of chicken and pickles, and they're cool. Like no shade to chicken and pickle, but Dreamland just has just such a, I don't know, more unique atmosphere, and just I think attracts way more young adults. And honestly, I feel like I've had better play at Dreamland than chicken and pickle. So I don't know. I just loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I enjoy the vibe you describe. Basically every episode I go on a rant, so I might as well just do it now to get it over with. Like this whole thing we're trying to do with it is like out of real love for pickleball, that the last thing I want to see is it turn too much into golf and tennis. And I say that as huge golf and tennis fans, but like when I turn it on and I hear like an announcer whispering and like everyone like dressed up and like not talking and not being able to, and like all these weird things, like the vibe of being able to go down to your local court and seeing two old ladies up against you and your grandpa, and they're in tutus, and you think you're better than them, and they're kicking your ass up and down the court, and people are screaming, yelling, and doing all these things. Like we always need that in pickleball. So I'm assuming, Brooks, this vibe that Danea just described didn't just become that. When you and Steve were talking about building this, the thoughts that I just had, you guys must, think the same. How important is, as you build this professional behemoth league that you're trying to build, to always maintain that amateurism, carnival, bonanza type feeling?
I think the best way to describe it, and I'm not saying anything that Steve Kuhn would not say himself, is he's like a 12-year-old kid in a, going on 50. So that is, Dreamland is the embodiment of him and his creativity and his genius. And I say that with all honesty and respect to him. And also, like, if you hear him talk also, and this is something that we tried to channel in how the decisions that we make in terms of the format and what we do in both Duper and Major League Pickleball, is just joy, like bringing joy to the sport. And that's like, it comes from a sincere place. And like, if we just do that, everything will work out in the long run.
That's so cool to hear. And it's crazy because, so I went with a group of my friends there, all pickleballers. Yeah. And the first thing that came out of someone's mouth was, I know this place was built by pickleballers.
Yeah.
Because you could just feel it in like every inch of the place. It was just awesome.
Yeah. 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 It's cool hearing you say that. And I don't know why I'm making this comparison in my head. The only reason why I'm making the comparison is because their names sound similar. I'm thinking of just my good pal Uncle Steve Cohen, who just bought the Mets, and how he's acting the same way. Like, yeah, he's looking at it from a business side, but he's a diehard Mets fan. So he bought the team as a Mets fan, and he's looking at it from the fact of he's not trying to get where he will manage success is not by looking at the bottom of a P&L. He wants to win a championship so he could celebrate with his family.
Yeah.
And if we're now saying Steve Kuhn is looking at this game the same way, where of course, look, no one's putting a crazy amount of money in building a business and trying to, bleed money. But we also know it's clear because of his love of the game that everything he's trying to do and the real measure at the end of the day will just be like, hey, did we put on a fun event that anybody could come? People can come with their family, like a day at the ballpark, basically, like going to Citi Field. And did people enjoy themselves? The professional stuff and all of the other side of it, understood it always has to be there. But for what I heard about Dreamland and Austin kind of being the center of this ecosystem, it's really cool to hear that that's the vibe that's being found by, like Danea said, it's pickleball built by pickleballers, which is the one thing we can never lose.
Yep. Yeah, and even just some of the details. You go to some places, Chicken and Pickle isn't like this, but you go to some places that might build courts where they have food and drinks, and they might have the courts are too close together, or they're in the wrong direction, or like the lighting's bad. And we've really tried to not only maintain the joy, but also do those things that make it for the people that really truly love pickleball, make it the proper experience.
So my high school English teacher would be very, very happy with me because we basically just did everything we can to describe the setting that the rising action and the climax will take place in. But eventually, we got to get to the pickleball, right? There is professional pickleball, top professional pickleball happening at Dreamland at these courts. I want to really dissect this league as much as we can without keeping you up all night. So I'll try and keep us on a path, but we'll probably just hop around as I like to do. But let's just start from the beginning. And I know you touched upon it a little bit of when you met Steve and your personal journey on afterwards. Now let's just look at the league itself. What is the general mission statement of the league that you and Steve kind of came up with that day when he came to you and said, all right, let's move to the next thing, which is a Major League Pickleball Association?
I mean, I would say the team format was the unique differentiator in the beginning. And if you want to think about it as the Ryder Cup of pickleball. And again, going back to the previous point in the last segment, or what we just finished, is literally we wanted to have the coolest events, the most joyful and the most fun events, not only for the fans, but for the professional players as well. Sometimes the tour model, you have the same players with the same partners playing the same matchups weekend after weekend. So Steve's brainchild was to create this, to have an actual draft, like somebody has their fantasy football draft. We would bring in 8 ownerships or 8 owners or ownership groups from outside of pickleball. So we brought in people like Brene Brown, who's a podcaster and TED Talk speaker, who and I want to say also the one criteria that we chose in each one of those owners was that they had to love pickleball as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So James Blake, the icon, the former top, and I think he was number 4 in the world in tennis, he was an owner. Mark Lazary from the Bucks is a co-owner with James. Tim Klitsch, who owns is the owner of the Ranchers, who just won Major League Pickleball. He's about to open another pickleball place here in Austin. He has a pickleball court in his house that we play at regularly. So the original goal was to bring in these people from outside of pickleball to bring more eyeballs, more resources, more sponsors, and just put on really, really cool events. Like if anybody has ever followed tennis, college tennis is the craziest, most raucous, borderline, there's words that you don't want to say in front of your mom and your grandma. Being thrown out in this team event, in this team format. And I think if you hear the professional players that have played in Major League Pickleball, a lot of them have played college tennis. Like they just, it's the Ryder Cup. It's players winning points and fist bumping and, celebrating with their teammates. So we wanted to just create this crazy, unique format at the highest level, and then also have a draft such that the teams were super balanced. We created the draft where, like, if you had the number 1 pick in season 1, when we had only 16 players, 16 men and 16 women, if you got the number 1 pick in men, you got the 16th pick in men, and you got 8 and 9 in women, or vice versa. If you got the first pick in women, you got the 16th pick. And so it ends up with teams that are super balanced. And again, partnerships and matchups that were never seen before. And then this year, what's happened is it's become the platform for players like Anna Bright and Paris Todd and James Ignatowicz. And now there are new players that got picked up in these new shuffle drafts, like Hunter Johnson and Lacey Schneeman.
Is anyone hotter than Hunter Johnson right now, Brooks?
Yeah,
My God, that guy doesn't lose, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the crazy things about professional pickleball is Hunter Johnson lives 45 minutes from me, and I had never met him, or I didn't meet him until, probably I met him like in March or April at Dreamland. He came out to practice with Thomas Wilson and play in some of the pickleball, or practicing while the other people were playing Pickleball Night in America that we had at Dreamland. And now he's like he and Yates got second and third in a PPA event this year. So, so Major League Pickleball has also become this platform where new players are growing and, getting to play against the best players in a crazy, unique, tense format, and just having the time of their lives.
Yeah. I say this without talking down to any other league, any other organization. I'm just regurgitating fact. I've asked every single player that's come on here about the different tours, about the tour wars, and I'm not going to ask you that because I'm not going to put you in that spot. But I've just asked them, is there one specific? I know all of them stick out to you, but is there one specific, and why? And the team portion of MLP is the number one reason for every single guest that we've had on this show. Basically, that said MLP. Maybe there's one or two that said something else, but every single one said MLP, and they said the team aspect of it. So I think you hit it on the head with that. You can already tell Jason said Ranchers are his current team. The great thing about I love Jason, because Jason is the type of guy. Jason never heard about pickleball until the first episode about Pickle Juice, and he's already got a team he's supporting in the MLP. Another thing, Jason, and this is for you, or I'll say it's for you, even though I just found out you're just a Rancher fan. The Kawamoto sisters, they're coming on the show next Tuesday. So they're our guests next Tuesday. They're super excited to come on. They were actually supposed to come on a little earlier, and it was my fault with scheduling, and I didn't want to rush them. So we're going to give them as much time as they want next Tuesday when they come on. So we'll get the chance. And Jason, we can ask every single question that you want to get about the Ranchers. Danea, do you have a team of choice that you support right now, or is your fandom still up in the air to be bought?
Oh, I will say I'm not quite loyal to a specific team yet. I know that's bad. My husband is actually so mad at me because every time, something comes on, I'm like, I want them to win, or I want this one to win. So I have a problem being loyal to teams. I really do.
Look, the Mad Drops, Mary and Lee will always have a soft spot in my heart. They've both been on this team, and they both were hysterical. They themselves, like, putting them side by side, legit just tells you all you need to know about pickleball.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
These two are the top professionals, and like if they were to play, like, you have no idea. Like, you would see a scene like that in most other sports, you would just draw conclusions of how that athletic feat would turn out. With pickleball, this is the story right here. Like, even let me scroll down. This is a foursome right here that legit is the picture of the vibe, that Dreamland we keep talking about. Anybody can play. There's no look. We can legit go to any other team on this screen, and they're going to completely look different. Another one I just want to shout out is I don't drink, so Clean Cause is super cool, and I actually have some Clean Cause gear. I know Wes, don't know him well, but we've talked a few times. He founded this. He's someone who doesn't drink either, and this is I think it's like caffeinated drink that's like really good.
It's like yerba mate.
Yo, okay, thank you. I forgot the word. Yerba mate got me through college. Yerba mate, because I went to NYU, so I'd go to the bodegas open late night when I was studying for finals and just slurp yerba mate. But thank you. It's exactly that, basically. And it's for a great cause. They employ addicts. Yeah. I think on the back of my shirt, it even says like 50% of profits like go to that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And are they in your area?
Yes, a lot of them. Yes, Wes lives in Austin. Nav Such, one of the other. I think I'm not sure if Nav is an owner exactly, but some of the 3 of the owners of the Clean Cause team live in Austin.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and they have maybe the hottest player on in the game right now, and Federico, who legitimately just can't be stopped anywhere. So that's incredible. So right now we have 12 teams. You guys just had that draft. Mm-hmm. We know we have an event in Columbus coming up in the middle of October, the 14th to the 16th, I believe.
That's correct.
Tie us. Is there anything going on between this and that? What's going to be happening after that? Because the one thing that I do want to say to you, Brooks, is when we talk about different tours with different people, the one thing people will say with MLP is, we want more, we want more, we want more. So I guess I'm kind of asking that question leading, like, when do we get this all the time whenever we want?
Jigga says he wants to go to Columbus, and y'all are more than welcome. We'll hook you up. Even you, Danea.
Oh my gosh, dude, I would be freaking out. I'd be fangirling so hard.
And that's
all right. Hold on a second. I always stay backstage during this show, but Brooks called me out. I'm in the private chat. Hey, maybe we should go do a live show. Zook, Danea, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like that's probably a no-brainer. October, nice live coverage. Stream it right from there. Put you guys on the spot. Think about it. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying no to that.
Yeah, and what's to think about?
Yeah, what's to think about? That sounds like a lot of fun. So, no, kind of what are the next steps between where we are today, the competition that's happening in Columbus, and what are more Columbus-esque types of things you think going to start popping out down the pipeline?
So we're expanding to 16 teams. That's one thing that's going on. So we should be announcing those new owners before Columbus. That's one big thing. And then, we should be announcing dates, venues, and formats for next year coming up in the next, I would hope 2 to 3 weeks is my best guess.
Oh, cool.
Sooner rather than later, hopefully. So we know that, it's one of the big things that I'm working on.
Yeah, I'm so interested, and without spilling the beans, without making you spill the beans, or also telling you how to do your job, let's brainstorm, Danea, on like some things. If we were trying to build, as fanatics of this sport, the perfect league for us in the future. Some things that we could think of. And I could say that I've been putting a lot of thought into this in my downtime, in the shower, what I would do if I was making the schedule. So I'll go first. I think that, look, I say we, I'm now advisor, chief of staff to the president. We need to understand that there are other pro tours, and there are different things that potentially would drive people geographically, different reasons that they want to go different places, that every single weekend, all the time, I don't know if that's the way to go with this. My initial plan was something along the lines of like, March to October or March to November once a month, like the last week of the month, where kind of that whole month, like, hey, other people are going to be running around the APP, the PPA, but no matter what, those people are still in your league. So they're playing, we're driving up the fact that, they're still going around. And then still the last week of every month is that event where, they come together, they play as a team. It'll be fun, at the other tournaments where maybe people on the same team are playing against each other. That'd be fun stuff for you guys to kind of talk about. So when I was just thinking about how it fits all together, that was the quick thought that came to my mind. Am I anywhere close, Brooks, in your initial blueprints?
How's my poker face?
It's good. It's good.
When do you want to start your job at Major League Pickleball?
No, but this is what I do. I think about stuff like that. Danea, you hear my plans. Is there feel free to completely eviscerate it. Is there anything you can tinker, but add something or change something that you specifically would like to see with it? Knowing the style that it's team coordinated over and over. They're going to be changing the venues around. Is there anything specifically that you would add to Zook's creation?
I mean, I like Zook's creation. I want to keep it.
Really,
but change everything. No. What I like, and maybe it's just like the drama in me, but I love like splitting up the people that normally play together. I think it should be just a rule. Like if you're a consistent partner, you cannot be on the same team. Like I love, like, I don't know. That's just exciting to me to just see people play with different people. Cause then, you're like, can you hold up the team now? Like, what does it look like? It's the drama piece of it that I like. So
yeah. And that's like the whole beautiful thing about, these individual events, that when these other tours run the ones, and I'm bad, I forget names. It might have been the Selkirk. It might have been the one right before it, where you legit were swapping out partners. As a viewer, Danea, like, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, seeing people play with the same people all summer, and then having to see them, like, on the fly adjust to someone that they've never played with,
right.
Maybe holds the racket with another hand that they're not used to. Like, literally, like you said, it separates the men from the boys, the women from the girls, of like, who can go out there. Look, we're not putting a bum next to you. We're putting another pro next to you.
Exactly.
Go out there and figure it out. It's like dropping two people kind of in the wilderness that both have experience surviving there, never with each other, and being like, figure it out. I love that aspect of it. So you hit it right on the nail right on the head with that. Is that something that, Brooks, a lot of people have said they liked about it, fans and players?
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Is there any stories that you hear, because I've asked this to people at other events where they've had to switch partners, that they've actually been using these new partnerships to pick up material and to study people that will eventually be their future opponents down the line? Because I've heard certain things about that.
I'm not sure about that, but like, I know that there were, I want to say it was Mary. I think it was Mary or one of the other pro players. They were talking about, like, during Newport, they were going back to the house to like watch film that night on like Saturday, or, I think Saturday night. Yeah. Like, they knew who they were playing in the semis. So they were going to like watch the stream from that day on the opponents that they were playing the next day, watching film. So that's just that was something that stuck in my mind. That was an interesting little tidbit. So, they're not used to seeing those people together. So they're probably just seeing how, what sort of patterns they can pick up, or who's playing the left side, who's playing the right side, little things like that.
Divisions, conferences. I'm really trying to get you to break your poker face in terms of what this is going to be, with also a follow-up of inspiration. There's literally nothing like what you're trying to build, but you're obviously not trying to build the first, well, not even talking pickleball, just sports league in general. Anything you're picking up from, the other professional leagues as you build this infrastructure?
Yeah, I think that was something that we will focus on in 23, and this is also an evolution, is trying to get some of the teams more geographically based. You saw the first team, the Florida Smash, they did that, and they were super intentional and strategic about that. You've got the ATX pickleballers. I think the Ranchers are going to become the Texas Ranchers. And so we've started to ask some of the teams, both new and existing, to start thinking about what cities and what states they want to be associated with. And I expect there's going to be some big drama and land grabs around who gets what behind the scenes. And to be frank, it's already started. So
Cool.
that will be super spicy and super interesting to see. And I don't know that it'll be fully in place by 23, but probably by 24. And again, it'll be an evolution. And then, I mean, we foresee this in the future, as we've kept the teams to the number of teams. We started with 8 teams last year, 12 this year, 16 16 in 2023. Also, just to based on the player pool, we want to keep the level of play and the quality of play to a professional level, to a major league level. So as we've seen with Stocksrud and Ignatowicz and Anna and Paris and Hunter and Yates and all these other people, I think next year there's going to be a wave 3 times as big as that. And so, we foresee within a couple of years, maybe there's like a Premier League and a Championship League where like when you have relegation and promotion, and then also like minor league pickleball is something that we're looking at doing. That's an event we're going to launch at Dreamland here we're going to have our first event at Dreamland October 29th and 30th, which is minor league pickleball for amateurs. So with Duper, we can put together like a Duper 20 team and a Duper 22 and have those teams compete for cash prizes and play like MLP style team format. So we think that format will also grow at the grassroots level and amateur level, in addition to the professional level.
That's so cool. Because that'll blow up huge, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's so much. People just love the experience of, playing in tournaments. I don't know, Danea, have you played in any tournaments?
I've played in a lot of too many tournaments.
Half of her Instagram is standing on the podium with medals. Come on, Brooks.
Oh, sorry. Just think about the fun experience of going to a tournament and playing rec games with your friends, and then also you're playing rec games with your team, right? And you're winning and losing as a team. There's just something about that I think is going to blow up at the amateur level.
Out of all the things that we've talked about, I actually think this idea is probably by far the best, because I have an exact story of I played travel soccer when I grew up, and I was really I was top in my town. My team I played for the travel team in my town, and we were ranked top 10 in the state for a few years. But then I got this experience of I got to play for the Red Bull amateur team. So all the MLS teams have their amateur, and look, was it that much crazier than what I was doing with my really good travel team? No, but to rep Red Bull, that I'm on Red Bull, this gives you the ability to have kids in Texas running around saying I'm not even wearing someone else's Ranchers jersey, I'm part of the program. And you see that in soccer all the time. These 14-year-olds are getting bought by Barcelona to go all the way to their C program, but they're still part of Barcelona, and the ability to wear that swag and that pride that you get with it. It's so cool because it hits on both sides. It will get more people playing, and at the same fact, who knows how many people that are on the amateur Jackrabbits team ever make professionals, but I can tell you everyone that's in the Jackrabbits amateur program is going to be a diehard fan of MLP. So by getting them involved with the program, who knows if they go pro, who knows what they do with it on that side of it. But in terms of the fan side, which is what you guys are trying to capture, you then grow it to a lifelong fan. So thinking about, that example of like what Red Bull did, and like I know a lot of MLS teams did it around the country when I was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fits perfectly with, you know, a quick expansion of a league like this.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And when you say these teams have to get locations, is that just in name or is that also in residency as well?
At this point, probably, you know, ideally, yeah, everybody would have a stadium, a pickleball stadium in their, or a venue or something, but I don't think that's realistic within, you know, a couple of years. So maybe that's a 5 to 10 year thing down the line, where the Florida Smash has a, you know, stadium court in St. Pete, Tampa St. Pete, or the Ranchers have their place here in Austin. So I think it's something to build to and something we've discussed, but not something that we would mandate over, you know, just not realistic in a short period of time.
Yeah, that's tough, but also on the other end, we also understand like that drives value as well. Like I'm someone who's so hardcore when it comes to that. Like you smack New York on any of these teams, everything I just said like throw out the window.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard New York like Lions fan. Like, I didn't say a word about the Lions. Couldn't tell you anyone on their team, but smack New York in front of them, and I'm going with that. So in terms of like that, you'll definitely get some of that by you know, attaching the names, even if, you know, for now it's not even, or you know, these teams at least tried as hard as they could at some point, like the New York team comes out to the city for a weekend here or there and does like a camp or something. All right, so
it's something we've definitely encouraged the ownership groups to be entrepreneurial in terms of getting their own sponsorships, and that will be, you know, that will be local and regional sponsorships. So, you know, we'll try and get national sponsorships for the league level, but we've encouraged, you know, maybe it's like HEB for Austin, which is a grocery store here in Texas, or Publix, or, you know, I don't know. There's a million different car dealers or whatever in local regional places that could, that would love to sponsor teams, especially if they are doing things at the grassroots level in that area.
That's interesting. Without saying any other thing about the league, that reminds me very much of like what the Live is doing in terms of, you know, those golf.
Yeah.
Like they're forming teams,
Right.
and then the Live is saying, hey, you own this much percent of your team, go out there and get all the sponsors that you want for that team. You now have an ownership stake in it. So yeah, I definitely agree with that's the way to go about it. Here's a question from Pickleball Chick. How are ownership groups formed? That's a great question, because as we were clicking around, we even saw like Wes Hurt was with some people that probably he never knew before. You can click on some of the other ones and different people are getting together. What are the stories behind a lot of these?
I mean, most of them is just how you would think. Is there guys or women or people that have done business together?
Okay.
You know, Brene Brown's husband is the owner of her team. Her CFO, Charles Kiley, is an owner of the ATX Pickleballers. Melly Price was the owner of the Chimeras and has done ticketing and events with Charlie Walker and Charles Attal from C3. I think Brad and Nav and Wes are all friends from Team Clean. Yeah, so it's just people are friends or business associates, and they've come to us and said, you know, we want to invest and own a team.
So cool.
There's 4 teams. Like we said, we're going to 16. I'm not asking you, Brooks. I'm actually gonna, because I know we can't get an answer, obviously, with that poker face. Danea, though, I'll go to you.
Hit me.
We've went through some of these owners. We know the size of some of these owners. We know, you know, Gary V is in here. Brene Brown is in here. There's a ton of big people in here.
Drew Brees.
Who are some people, like right off the top, that you would just think would be perfect to own a team in the MLP, that you would just think brings that swag, brings that brand style that they're trying to vibe with? I'll think as well. Brooks, you would know Antonio Brown? What would you guys do if Antonio Brown approached you?
We would consider it.
Or like I think of like Jamie Foxx. Wasn't he just at the Selkirk one? He loves pickleball.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx loves
He
pickleball.
plays pickleball for sure. Yeah.
Like I feel like he should have a team.
Trying to think what other athletes Jigga's saying. So, Serena. That's a good answer.
Oh,
Serena.
the
Yeah,
queen,
there you
yes.
go. The queen. Yo, if Serena owned a Major League Pickleball team, oh my God.
Oh, it would
No.
cause a wave.
That would be a dream. Yes.
Wow. And this is how we can kind of wrap up with the internal, intrinsic, self-looking question. What you do is really fucking badass. Let's just call a spade a spade. Very professional. You
Thank
are the president. But it's of a league, of a game that we all freaking love to death. We just went through all of these names. I couldn't even imagine the different types of people that were reaching out when they found out that 4 more were up for grabs. That you probably have a list that, as you expand this from 16 to eventually 30, which is where I think it's going to get, that you could already fill at this point. Like, did you ever think this game was going to get you some of the relationships and some of the friends and some of the stories that you could probably sit here, and we'll save it for next episode, but you could probably talk about for an hour?
Never, not in a million years. It's pretty crazy.
And when did it hit you that it was like, damn, like this is it? Like pickleball could do this. Like we're going to do this. The people that I'm meeting are showing me that it's the proof of concept that our ideas are going to work out.
I think being on a Zoom call and talking with Gary Vee earlier this year, I think
Wow.
that's
Wow.
right.
Wow. Is there any other conversations like throughout that you could even point to that are ones that were like eureka moments? Because one thing I always try and talk about is, even though you're a little different, because a lot of the pros, they start as a hobby, and a game that they love, and then to get to the pro side, they have to click the switch where, hey, I have to take this serious. It's now, instead of going and playing for 2 days a week, I have to train, dink, serve, practice, train for every day. Was there any ever that thought process from you, even though you came at it more from the professional side, that how you have to look at the game from the high seat that you sit on takes away any of the love that made you want to even do this in the first place?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I just like whatever opportunity is in front of me or us, we like, it's just super cool to build cool stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of, I know this sounds trite or cliche, but just like take it day by day, or whatever opportunity or problem comes up in front of us at that time. Like just, in the volatility, as Steve always says, also has been insane. Like the difficulties have been incredible this year, but at the same time, the opportunities that we have and the things that are going on and going to happen soon are just like, yeah, like never in a million years would I believe that I'd be doing business with these people playing this sport with a stupid name. But it's super cool and I'm super grateful.
No, that's awesome. Danea, you got anything else before we wrap it up with the prez?
No, I gotta say, I love what you've done for the sport. So thank you. Like, thank you for bringing the creativity and the team aspect and like the uniqueness of like the shuffle and all these things. Like, pickleball is such a unique sport at the grassroots level. It's just unique and weird and quirky. And I feel like you guys have like really protected the purity of that just in everything you've done. So just as a grassroots player, somebody that's obsessed with it, like thank you for what you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate it sincerely.
Yeah, Brooks, I echo that with, again, never being to dreamland, but quickly trying to ingrain myself in the ecosystem, talking to as many different people as I can, learning all like everything that I literally can about the sport. Like all you hear is Dreamland, 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 Dreamland. When you hear about like the mecca of where to play this sport or where to watch it or where to experience it. So based on our earlier conversation of the vibe that one enters and leaves when they go to Dreamland, I am, like Danea said, very thankful that you guys are undertaking the challenge of no matter how big and how lucrative and how monetizable this can ultimately be, where, hey, look, we're all hoping that it goes to the moon, to never lose that other side of it, which is so important. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Is there anything specific that you want us to look out for until Columbus, or is it just keep checking out Major League Pickleball stuff for the next month? A lot of revving up to that event.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say thank you. And also, again, I'm 100% sincere about if you want to come to Columbus, you got VIP passes, hook it up. You know, we'll get you playing with some of the pros, anybody that you want to play with. You're
Oh
welcome
my
to do it.
gosh.
All right, Brooks, let me say this. I know how Jigga operates, so I knew that there was going to be a chance that this ended with this. Now I knew the other side of it was I'm in the tax world.
Okay.
I work for my dad.
Okay.
The deadline is October 15th. So I'm going to have to ask him if, hey, what if I work really hard, you know, the 4 nights leading up to it, can I go to Columbus? And I think there's a very good chance that I can definitely get out there at least for the weekend. Because it's Friday to Sunday, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think
the finals are Sunday night.
I think there's a really, really good chance I can get there over the weekend, but let's not spoil anything live on air. We'll talk about it behind the scenes. That's stuff that goes
No
through Jigga
excuses.
anyway. But no, this was fantastic. I have a sneaky suspicion that this is going to be the first of many conversations. Hopefully we get the chance now to meet you in person in Columbus. I think that will be so. If not, either way, we're going to be following, watching it, looking to be involved however we can. Before I let you go, my buddies at Pickle Dow said that they wanted to say hello to you.
Yeah, I've played pickleball with Evan and Sam a couple times now. Super
Evan,
fun.
Great guy. Him and Jigga are so similar, and where Jigga wears many hats because, you know, he's the content creator of this whole behemoth that we're growing. Evan has the ability to look at, like, you know, just the pickleball side of it. So things that are going on between them, I think there's going to be some synergies moving forward. That will be great. But thank you for giving us this hour, sir. Hopefully we could set something up where maybe if Columbus goes well, whether we're there, whether we're not there, we'll kind of do a recap show the following week or the week after with you. And we can just kind of break down all the matchups. If you would give us access to some footage, we would love to like be able to cut it up and do some highlight stuff and take care of that. But we could do a whole recap stream with you or anyone else that you would want on that stream with us.
Okay. Yeah. And just to answer your question, just, stay tuned to sports news and pickleball news because we will be announcing who the new owners are, and it will be very big news.
I'm very, very excited for. I can't even imagine, based on the people that own teams right now. We now know that like the greatest owners are now the floor, so the next 4 have to be somewhat, you know, on the status of like I have no idea, but like we just the names we called out are of the style of people that I know. And even a chance that like we were thinking small when we think about how big the sport is. But I'll stop rambling. I'll stop trying to break you down and lose your poker pace. We will let you go.
The last thing is, please, just the October 29th and 30th, we'll be streaming the Duper 20 and Duper 22 events at live from Dreamland.
Beautiful.
So we think those amateur matches, or you know, some of those people are pros or semi-pros or dip their toes in pros, or some of them are actually they're pros as long as they fit within the number range. We think that's going to be just a crazy exciting format, and we'll be streaming that live on the 30th.
That's beautiful. All right, have it marked down. Anything you guys share, we'll make sure to share either on Pickle Juice or through the Knights of DGen Discord and Waves as well there. But there you go. There you go, right? Time to go. Brooks, Danea, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. How about we do it again sometime soon?
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Peace.
Thanks.